Well, welcome back to the channel. I had a customer bring me this little thing and give you guys a look over of this masterpiece. So this is probably an 80s model, not sure if it says. Isuzu pup, probably 85, 86 Isuzu pup that the customer has been restoring. And so I had the bed on when it came in. So it had originally it had a little 4-cylinder here with a carburetor and a bunch of vacuum and stuff like that. The customer said, well, what would it take to get this engine and everything running? So I quoted him out on a rebuild, and I was going to put like a Weber carburetor on it and just get away from all the vacuum and make it a nice, simple 4-cylinder engine. And I quoted him on that, and he said, no, that's too expensive. So time goes by, he gets a 4.3 V6 with Vortec fuel injection, that spider injection on top of it. And so I'm a little bit into this now, but they can't get it running. They have a wiring mess. They've got brake line mess. So there's a big old disastrous brake lines, and there's a big ball of wiring with hundreds of butt connectors and scotch locks and everything like that. So he finally gives up, took it to several mechanic shops on trying to get it running. So he called me and he says, I need to get this thing running like right now so I can move it around. And I said, well, if you want it done now, I'm going to put a normal intake, a Holley carburetor, a normal distributor, everything, and you're going to get a carburetor. So he says, all right, whatever, fine, let's do it. So it shows up yesterday. So I kind of looked it over and I said, well, whatever, let's just see if it runs. I noticed a few things, you know, the top's not sitting on there. So that was, I don't even know, there's no interior in it, but there was a bunch of wiring everywhere. And I noticed the bed was undone, so I pulled the bed. Noticed the fuel tank was full of rotten fuel. So just got rid of the fuel line and was going to see if I can get this motor running. So I pulled the number one. First I pulled off all the wiring, threw it to the side, pulled the computer, pulled every piece of wiring that it had, threw it to the side, pulled, oh yeah, he's got some type of compression fitting with some type of glue on the clutch line. So I pulled the clutch line out, was going to separate it out, pulled the brake lines out. He had the brake lines all patched together, leaking, everything was messed up, just plugged them off for now. Brakes didn't work anyways. Pulled all the wiring, pulled the intake, distributor, everything, threw that out to the side. He came back and I said, take that with you. And he says, well, what do you want me to do with it? I said, throw it away for all I care. I don't want it. So last night we slapped the manifold on, put the carburetor on, stabbed the distributor, put my finger in hole number 1, was rotating it over. Couldn't find compression. I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. So the motor's probably messed up too. And we said, well, let's just go ahead and we pulled the valve cover, got it on top dead center, put the spark plugs in it, and put a fuel can and a fuel pump to the carburetor, fired it up. It kind of ran, but I don't know, there's still something wrong. So it probably doesn't have compression on this one. So we just temporarily wired everything up just to see if it'll start. So then I decided, well, let me look underneath. So no radiator. So this thing is really, really small, no radiator. And he says, yeah, go ahead. And so we've got a radiator here, too tall. And we've got 3 radiators over here. I said, well, none of these radiators fit. And he says, well, what about that Chevy radiator? I said, yeah, the Chevy radiator is bigger than the whole damn vehicle. So I said, they don't sell the radiators to these, or they're really expensive. So I said, I don't know where a radiator's at, but we'll figure that out later. None of that bothered me yet. So let me show you underneath. We put it up on the lift. First thing, we hit the muffler coming up onto the lift. So, couple 4 or 5 inches, well, I don't even know if it's that much. You can tell that's about level. It's about 3 inches off the ground. So, we hit the muffler. Noticed the bed was unbolted. Took the bed off. Took the forklift, lifted it up, put it on the lift. Then, so yeah, obviously he's hitting places in the body. None of that bothered me, whatever. He's got 2 lug nuts on each wheel. Not a big deal. We're not driving it down the road. Body's unbolted. All right, that's fine. He's restoring it, whatever. So then we start the first big problem I noticed. That there's a hole in the transmission. Transmission is full of milky stuff, so it's full of water. This piece, let me get my camera right, was bolted or was still hanging on there. And we pulled it and some bolts fell out of the transmission. So what he did is he dropped bolts down and they got stuck here in the bottom and popped that out. We'll see what happens with that. So we thought about, well, let's drain the transmission. He's got the exhaust pinned up against the transmission with the drain plug right above it. So it can't go up anymore. Well, the problem is it has to go up an inch or two. Okay. So obviously he pieced this exhaust together with some dumb shit. I'm assuming off-the-shelf AutoZone parts. We can see that the fuel's rotting. He's got fuel line disconnected, the fuel pump, which those fuel pumps will die all the time. So if you're putting it on the rail, you're going to have to get under here to change it. You can't put it on ramps or jack or anything like that. So he's got fuel lines connected underneath, which is just not necessary. If you're going to run a fuel line, run the whole damn thing. He's got his fuel filter, what is that called? Plumber strapped to the frame. He's got his ground onto plastic going into painted metal. It might ground all right, but okay. It's on the plastic side. He's got the power wire tied together and a little while down, butt connected. There are holes in the wire, Scotch locks, grounds that have been cut onto paint. He's got grounds and straps and grounds and brake lines running up into the exhaust. The fuel line is zip tied to the exhaust. See what else we can find here. I'm sure infinite amount of dumb stuff. Grounds. Let's see what I can find. But it's restored. He said it was restored. We painted 2 pulleys. And the engine's... He said the engine has been rebuilt. So we painted those 2 pulleys and rebuilt the engine. He cut a cross member out of the frame. Didn't finish cutting it out. Used some old rusty, really thin pipe to replace that cross member. We got the exhaust touching. Oh wait, is it? Oh, it's got clearance. Does it have clearance? Oh, that's cherry. It's got clearance. I almost said it didn't have clearance, sorry. Leaf springs have been bent because they hit something. You can see he just nailed something. The exhaust, or not the exhaust, sorry, the shocks have been grinding away, rubbing things. He's got like a block on a block, like several inches of lowering blocks. I'll bet that's 6 inches. You can see it's scraping down into the bolts. Brackets, all the bushings are totally gone out of there. Tires are cracked. We got some pretty sweet welds of a prior exhaust system that was on there. The axles are probably leaking. We've got, so that's probably empty, or well, I guess it'll only go down so far, but a little bit empty. Tank's painted though. It's totally rusty and filled full of crap inside. All right, so that video was a few months ago, and the customer walked in right after that, and we started talking, and I lost that footage. So I grabbed my phone, I put the phone in my shirt pocket with the camera facing out, you know, thinking I was gonna have a good video conversation with the customer, and right when I did that, it shut my phone off. So anyways, we ended up fixing it. So there's going to be a part 2 if you're interested. I'm going to post another video because I know that last one was already pretty long. But I just wanted to show all the goofy shit that was going on with it. Still goofy shit going on with it, but I did what I could with the budget that I had. So yeah, check out part 2, and I'll do another video and kind of go over what I did to fix it, and it's a little bit better. So see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.